Our unbeaten run is over, and we were beaten by Cove Rangers in a game that was so one-sided. It was like attack versus defence. Some people might say I got FM'd. I don't blame the game. I don't blame the players. I'm really angry with myself because the decisions that I made it harder for my team to score rather than easier. We have recovered though. Let's go and kick some balls. Hello and welcome back to The Road to Glory, Part 22, Season 3, here at Elgin City. And if you are new to the channel, why not subscribe, like, watch and comment. Help the channel to grow and help us to support all that good stuff that you can see scrolling about up there. And it has been a very good season so far, but as you heard, our unbeaten run has come to an end in a game that I was extremely angry with myself and made some very, very poor decisions. But we'll look at that later, because if we look at the table, you can see how good it's been. We are currently top of the league and we are 13 points clear of the chasing pack. And if we lose the title from here now, then I'm going to be very disappointed, because being so far ahead at Christmas, we should be able to go on and win the title quite comfortably from here. And so, on the pitch, despite that one defeat, it's been very good, and there have been a number of very, very good performances. And the game against Alloa Athletic turned out to be a very tense, but a very entertaining game. Let's go to Match of the Month. And so, if we look at what has happened since you were last with us, when you were last with us, you saw us come from behind to beat Dunfermline Athletic by 2-1. And then we followed that with that game that you just saw, a 2-0 home victory against Alloa Athletic. We then went on to beat Forfar Athletic by 2-1 away, and things at this point were looking very good, and we were looking like we were unbeatable at this point. And then came that defeat against Cove Rangers at home, and this is where I made some absolutely terrible decisions, which cost us ultimately the game. So let's just quickly take a look at the statistics behind that game and the decisions that I made, which actually cost us the match. So let's go and have a look at what happened on the pitch here, and if we have a look at the match stats, you can clearly see it's a match that we absolutely dominated. It was like attack versus defence. We had 74% of the possession to begin with, And that's a huge amount of possession. And it led to 25 shots on goals, 12 on target, which is a pretty good ratio. It's just about 50% on target. Our XG was far higher than theirs, given that they scored. And if they hadn't scored with one of their few chances, then it would have been a lot lower. So it was a game that we absolutely dominated and yet lost 1-0. And people would say, you just got FM'd. Well, no, I didn't get FM'd because I made some terrible decisions. And basically how I set up, knowing that they were going to play in a specific way, I set up myself to try and beat them in a specific way. So I was very concerned about them playing a long direct ball over the top. So I started with a standard line of defense, but I was pushing high up the pitch and I was pressing them high up the pitch. And for the first 35 minutes or so, it looked as though it was working. There didn't seem to be any problems. We were creating a number of chances and everything looked particularly good. And then suddenly we got caught out. Now, it wasn't a long ball. They made their way down the left-hand side of the pitch. There was a cross into the box, and our central defenders didn't pick up the striker, and he nodded it in. Now, at this point, I'm not panicking because we were dominating the game. There wasn't any reason to panic. We'd been behind before, and we changed the system a little bit in the second half and come back and won the game. So I wasn't really panicking at this point, given the number of chances that we were creating. And so as we went into the second half, it pretty much remained the same. We were dominating the game. We were playing the game in their half. And although we were creating so many chances, we were just not putting them away. Easy enough to just say, blame the forwards. They didn't play particularly well, 6.5, 6.3. But in retrospect, when I looked back at the game in comprehensive highlights, I realized I made some terrible errors. What I did on 60 minutes is what I'd done before and go attacking, thinking that we would get the same result. We'd come from behind as we had done before, just by adopting a more attacking style. But it didn't work this time. And when I looked back at it, what I found was that this area of the pitch was extremely congested, and the shots that we'd actually had were, a lot of them, as you can see, were from inside the box, and those were the shots that we were having earlier in the game, and we were playing according to the game plan, working the ball into the box, but there was an incredibly high number of blocks taking place inside their penalty area. They were getting numbers behind in this area of the pitch. They were getting numbers behind the ball and blocking the shots that we were having from around the penalty spot. So in retrospect, one of the poor decisions that I made was not addressing the fact that they had congested this area of the pitch, and by not doing something about that, it made it much more difficult as the game went on, because as the game went on and I'd gone a little bit more attacking, playing on a high tempo, the game became much more frantic, and we were attempting shots now from outside the box. We were desperately trying to score by adopting this attacking mentality, but we hadn't addressed this congestion that had been occurring all through the match. So what happened was we ended up taking a lot of shots from outside of the box, and those were pretty harmless, and the goalkeeper was able to save those quite easily. So what should I have done? Okay, well, in retrospect, because we were attacking so well, and I should have seen that this area of the pitch was so congested that there was no way through. And instead of going attacking, what I needed to do was to tell the players to slow the game down. And because it was becoming so frantic, we were taking these shots from all over the place. If we had slowed the game down, we would have been a little bit more methodical. And so also to help my strikers and midfielders, what I should have done is realize that we were playing too narrow. And what I should have done in terms of the tactic was to take away the focus play through the middle, and to actually then adopt a wider style of play. Although it's a narrow formation, if I'd spread them out a little bit, it would have created a lot more width down the flanks. And had I done that, in retrospect, we would probably won the match. We would have created more space and probably won the game. I hindered my strikers from scoring by keeping going with this philosophy of playing down the middle when there was no space down the middle. And that's what caused the defeat. It wasn't that the players had particularly bad games. It was my fault. I didn't help them to score. And I have to take full responsibility for our unbeaten run coming to an end. I did not get FM'd. I got outthought. But we did recover, and after that defeat, we then had a 2-2 away draw at Stirling Albion, bottom of the league. We do find it difficult against these teams who are further down the league. And then we followed that up with a 4-2 win. Again, we should have won quite comfortably. We played a total reserve team. There were no first team players in that lineup, and we managed to beat them by 4-2. And then against Adrionians, we had a lovely away 2-0 victory. And we followed that up with a very, very good win in the Challenge Cup 4th round against Wraith Rovers by 2-0 in a game we were rank outsiders, but we managed to beat them by 2-0. And Joey Dawson scored this worldie. And so that now leads us to our game today against Queen's Park, who have recently gone to the bottom of the table, and it's going to be another one of those potential banana skins. We do not seem to play very well against teams who are 8th, 9th and 10th in the league, and we do have to be better at performing against these teams, and it's partly my responsibility, and maybe I'm not setting up correctly, but I am optimistic about today's game. We've never lost to Queen's Park. We should keep that going today, and hopefully we will. But before we go to that game, I think it's time to go to our news update. And if we have a look at the squad and the last 5 games, you can see that we have a huge amount of players who are playing way above what would be expected of this Elgin team, and it has been quite a remarkable performance. But the standout performer this month has been Aidan Wilson. He is a centre-back, a ball-playing defender. He's been playing on cover. He has a little bit of pace, which I like for this level, and his physicals are very, very good. Quite a technical player as well. He's good passing and vision, and I think he has a lot of potential to become a very, very good player, and I think he could, if we get promoted, he could be someone that we're going to rely on quite a lot next season. And so he has performed extremely well. And if we have a look at his form this month, we can see he's got 8.1, 8.1, 7, 7.6, 7.6, 7.4, 7.5. It just goes all the way down. He's above 7 all the way down as far as we can see. He's had absolutely phenomenal season, and he is this month's Player of the Month. It is nice to see Blair Alston back in the squad. He's got 7 goals and 3 assists. And even though he's getting on a little bit, he's 32 years old now, he's still a very, very good player. And we still rely on him as a set-piece taker, especially, a great deal. And so all the squad are doing particularly well. In terms of goals scored, there's no one standout performer. Joey Dawson has 9 goals and 5 assists from his 22 appearances. He's not performing as well as he did in the second half of the last season, but he's still doing a very good job for us. And all the goals seem to be spread out amongst the entire squad. And in terms of goals scored, you can see that we are top of the league in terms of goals scored. We have 35 goals, but most importantly this season, we've only conceded 14 goals, which also makes us the best in the league. And that's why we are so far ahead of our nearest competition. And also in terms of the squad, we do have to make some very, very big decisions as we come into the Christmas transfer window. And there are going to be a number of players, I think, that will probably be leaving us. Kane Hester will be one, I hope. Ronan Hughes could possibly leave, as well as Seb Ross. Critchley, Leddy and Rhys Thomas may also be casualties in the winter transfer window. So I got a feeling that instead of recruiting this Christmas, what we're going to be doing is letting a lot of players go in preparation for the work that will need to be done in the summer transfer window. And so it has been a particularly busy time. We do have this game to play now against Queen's Park. They are bottom of the league. They were relegated from the Championship last season, and they're having a terrible time in League One this year. And so the team for today is Hoban in goal with Gilhooly, Wilson, Mackenzie and Robson at the back. Mackay, Hamilton, Leon and Alston in midfield, with Pasnick and Dawson up front. I've chosen today to play with a cautious mentality, and we are going to play with a low block, because I am a bit concerned about their direct style of play, this Route 1 style of play. And I've also decided that I want to play the game at a much slower pace. So I've asked the boys to slow down their passing, be a little bit more methodical about it, and be a little bit less frantic, and try and slow the game down. And hopefully that will mean that we can get the result that we need. We'd like to win here. We want to keep this winning formula going, and we do have a throw in, and here is Gilhooly. Gilhooly finds Mackay. Mackay into the box. There's a header and it just goes wide. So close, and it was almost 1-0. We've made a good start. We are in control of the game. We are dominating possession again. We are clearly the best passing team in the league. We have 75% of the possession. We've had the better chances, only just though they're not great chances, but we are doing about as well as we can. And in terms of our performance, it is at the moment very, very good. I may decide to just learn my lessons and go a little bit wider. We're not getting shots on target, and I may decide to, in the second half, just play a little bit wider so that maybe we're not being so congested in the middle of the park. And although we are dominating the game, it's one of those games where we just at the moment can't get shots on target. Our shots, looking at it, most of them are from outside the box, and that's not a good sign. And Mackenzie picks up a loose ball here. And here is Hoban. Hoban needs to look for support. He finds Wilson. Wilson with a long ball forward, looking for Dawson. Can Dawson get on the end of it? Yes, he can, but unfortunately it's blocked. It rebounds to the goalkeeper, and it remains 0-0. And I think we need to do something in terms of the second half, and I wonder if we do need to play with more width. I think we'll say we simply have to be better up front, but I am going to just tweak the width a little bit, see if I can't learn something from last time. I'm going to play fairly wide and try to stretch them a little bit and see if we can't create space. And I've told the boys they need to be better. And hopefully now if we create a little bit more space up the top, then we can put one of these chances away. We've dominated the game. We're totally in control. It's just that we are not scoring. Joey Dawson isn't having a great game, and neither is Pasnick. But the rest of the team are performing fairly well. Leon's not having his best game. I think it's time to make some changes. And so we've made a couple of changes. We've gone to a more positive mentality as well. Hopefully now we can break them down. But it does seem to me like Queen's Park are coming more and more back into this game. And we do have the ball though. And here's Gilhooly. Gilhooly has a chance and it bounces off Dingwell and flies into the arms of the goalkeeper. That was unlucky. And it is going to be, though, Queen's Park to bring the ball forward. It's a long clearance up the field. We need to win this ball, but there's a ball over the top. They have a chance. It whistles over the bar. We were lucky to get away with that. That is the long, direct Route 1 style that they play. And it's just one of those days. I've done pretty much what I can. I'm going to go attacking now, try to get that goal that we need. But it's just one of those days. I think it's a game that we have dominated. We haven't won it. And maybe, can I make any more substitutions? Gilhooly's not having a very good game. We'll bring him off and bring Scott McGill on for the last 5 minutes. Can we make a difference? I don't think we can. We're doing everything that we can. We're just not able to score. Dawson's having a better game the second half, but Dingwall's not having a great game now. Players are just not performing, and there's nothing I can do about that. It remains 0-0, and it's finished 0-0. It's a very poor performance. I'm very disappointed, and it's another one of those games against teams at the bottom of the league. We cannot seem to win that, and it's something I need to work on, and I need to work out why we cannot win those games. We can beat teams high up in the league very easily, but teams way down low in the league, I really struggle to beat. Something I need to work on and look at as I go through into the second half of the season. It's finished 0-0, and that's it for this video. If you are new to the channel, then why not subscribe, like, watch and comment. Help the channel to grow, help us to support all that good stuff that you can see scrolling above. We are still 13 points clear. Dunfermline and FC Edinburgh failed to take advantage of us dropping those 2 points. So we are still fairly happy here as we arrive at Christmas time. And we will return after the transfer window has shut in February, probably for the Forfar game at home, and hopefully we will still be dominating League One at that time. And all that remains to be said now is stay safe, and we will see you in the next episode.